Access Media has been trying their best to damage control for Avowed, saying, oh, of course its numbers aren't going to be amazing on Steam at release because it released on Game Pass Day 1, even though Starfield did perfectly fine with over 300,000 players at release. And now, of course, they have to damage control yet again, comparing it to Monster Hunter Wilds because this game is absolutely dominating, while Avowed couldn't even get in the top 5 Steam Weekly Global Top Sellers list. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I used to love Obsidian the same way I used to love BioWare and Volition and Rocksteady, but unfortunately, all of these companies have fallen. They are shells of the studios they once were because of the people that work at them, because they're shoving, in some cases, hundreds of millions of dollars into games that people just don't necessarily want. And with Avowed, I didn't think it was the worst game I'd ever played. I had streamed it on the channel. I thought it was a 4 out of 10. It was not as heavy-handed with its identity politics as something like Dragon Age the Veilguard or something like the Saints Row reboot or Kill the Justice League, but it still wasn't an amazing game. It is a fine Game Pass game, but the fact that they asked people for $70 for that experience is pretty insulting, in my opinion, and clearly, a lot of people did not show up to support this game individually. And what I mean is, we don't have the Game Pass numbers. And I'm sure the Game Pass numbers are pretty good. I've said this from the start. People love to download their games via Game Pass because they already pay for the service. Why would they pay for an experience? But we know that developers don't make really any money from Game Pass. They still need individual copies to be sold on platforms like Steam for a game to be considered a sweeping success, and that did not happen with Avowed. It has not done good on Steam, and there are a lot of people who've said, oh, well, it was on Game Pass Day 1, so of course it's not going to do amazing on Steam. But there are plenty of other examples which show the complete opposite, that, oh, gamers don't show up to buy something on a platform like Steam when it's on Game Pass, because look at something like Starfield. That did absolutely fantastically, regardless of it being Day 1 GP. As you can see, the all-time peak 1.5 years ago was 330,723 players, which is great. I personally did not completely hate Starfield. I also just thought that it was a little bit of a lacking experience. I felt that they should have just put that time and effort into Elder Scrolls 6 instead of making Starfield and getting distracted and trying to create a brand new franchise, because it didn't really stick with people, so I don't even know if we're ever going to get like another Starfield game. But even look at what Monster Hunter is doing right now. Now, this is not a Day 1 Game Pass launch. We don't have the console numbers, but Monster Hunter is at home on console, so one would assume the console numbers are significantly better. But as you can see, it is doing great on Steam right now. The all-time peak was just 4 hours ago, 1,384,608 people in-game on launch weekend, which is super cool to see. Now, Monster Hunter Wilds is receiving some backlash from PC players specifically because it does have a lot of technical problems on PC. The scores for console are significantly better. PlayStation is at a 92% positive, and Xbox is at a 90% positive. PC is a very different story, though. It's not going well, though it is the best seller right now. If we take a look at the Steam wish list, this was again for February 18th to the 25th, so days ago, when this was just pre-order numbers, and Monster Hunter Wilds was already at number 2, and Avowed was all the way down at number 6. You had Counter-Strike, Monster Hunter Wilds, pre-orders, the Steam Deck, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, a game that came out weeks ago, actually almost a month ago at this point, PUBG Battlegrounds, and then Avowed, so not a particularly great picture for Obsidian. Though if we take a look at the current global selling Steam game list, I mean, whew. Again, it's not looking particularly good for Avowed, given Avowed is sitting at a number 37 right now. So, I mean, it's even being beat by games like Elden Ring and The Sims 4. Even Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, another Game Pass title. You have Split Fiction, which comes out in, I believe, a couple of days. I think it's the 6th. Ready or Not, Star Wars Outlaws, even games like Apex Legends and Marvel Rivals have beat it out. And sure, these are like free-to-play games and a lot of people are playing them. But on the flip side, we are talking about Obsidian here. They should be able to muster some significant numbers. And you also have Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 holding position number 5, and that had been out for 2 weeks before Avowed actually released. So you'd think that some of the hype for that would have died down and Avowed would have been able to at least overthrow that, but it has not even come close because it's all the way down at position number 37. It's really getting beat by a lot of things, and of course, Monster Hunter Wilds is in at number 1. When you have 1.3, almost 1.4 million players in-game on a Saturday early afternoon, never mind peak later on or on Sunday, one would assume that this has, at this point, sold most likely 3 million copies on Steam, perhaps 4 million copies on Steam, because not everybody's going to be in game at the same time. And while we do not have exact numbers at this point, it's clear as day that millions of people are purchasing it and playing it, and I would really be interested to see the console numbers. I'm sure we'll hear about them in a few days when Capcom ends up boasting about it, and I do hope that they release some patches and some optimization fixes, because I think that this is going to be a fantastic game. When this video is being uploaded, I will be streaming it tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, starting my full playthrough. I absolutely love the beta. It's a game I've been super hyped for, but just looking at a game like Avowed getting absolutely annihilated right now is pretty funny to me. I say this all the time. I don't want games to straight up fail. I want every game to come out and be for every type of person. I want people to just enjoy the entertainment that they find most entertaining. I want all games to be enjoyed, even if it's not a game for me. I can recognize that, but I used to love Dragon Age. I gave Veilguard a chance. I did not like it. I've loved Pillars of Eternity before. I had a bad feeling about Avowed, but I was focused on playing it, hopeful. I didn't end up loving it. And then on the flip side, you have games like Monster Hunter, which are reliable franchises. And while there are some minor things I did not like about the beta, such as some of the character customization options, that is not enough to ruin an experience. And these are games that just clearly tell two different pictures of what gamers like and what gamers will show up to support and what gamers do not want and do not want to support. So I will be keeping my eyes on this. I think we're probably going to end up getting some Xbox Game Pass numbers over the next week or so about Avowed. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think that it did terrible via Game Pass, but you have to look at the difference between Game Pass downloads versus individual sales, and clearly Monster Hunter Wilds is sweeping the charts right now. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.